Okay, people, welcome to Crossroads Disc Golf, where all your hyzers make you say hallelujah. I'm working on catchphrases. I don't know. Okay, um, so I'm gonna go through two types of bed dyes tonight. Besides some of we've already done a shaving cream spiral bed, and we did the floetrol blossom bed. We're gonna do floetrol again tonight, but we're gonna do different. We're gonna do the traditional style that most people use floetrol with, which is doing uh, basically a cell bed. You're using pour method similarly to what we did before, but this time we're actually gonna add like the silicone oil and go for the effect of cells. Then we're also gonna do a glue bed, which I'm gonna try for a specific like effect that I like to do with glue beds. If it doesn't work out, then I don't know. Just depending on whether or not it looks cool, we might do something else or we might use it. Um, and what I've got, I've been working on these two discs. I think I started them last weekend. Um, these are two stencil designs that I've done before, but I've never done them on my own discs, and I wanted to put them on mine. So I got a glow Lone Star Disc Dome, and I got a glow Lone Star Disc Curl. I throw the curl like crazy. I tend to lose those too. It's like not a whole lot, but every once in a while I'll lose one. So I've still got a glow curl in my bag, but I wanted another one just in case. In case you don't know this, I was sponsored by Lone Star Disc, so I still throw a lot of Lone Star. I kind of mix it up, and I got some MVP and like I think some dynamic in there too. Or I think I've got a felon. Is that dynamic or is that? I think that's dynamic. Yeah. Um, but essentially, I really like the. If I'm gonna throw Lone Star, I really like the glow plastic. It's really not just because it glows. That's an added bonus, but I just really like the way the plastic feels. It's kind of gummy. It's not too stiff, and it just seems to fly better for me. I get like if you give me any generic mold between like Alpha and Bravo, which are like there's kind of standard ones, and they've also got Charlie and Bounder, which is their like harder clear plastic. Um, Glow is the one it'll be the most understable. Not drastically, but if something's got like their curl, for example, has -1 turn, 2 fade, and I'll get much more turn out of the glow plastic than I will out of like Alpha or Bravo. So I just tend to like the glow plastic the best. Anyway, so I've already done the stencil and the hot dip on these, and I've kind of just got it set up to where I'm gonna. This one's got, I don't know if you can see it or not. It's got a picture of like Jesus with a in front of a cross, got the crown of thorns on everything, and then it's got around the outside. This is one I've done a couple times for different people, and around the outside it's got like that Jesus kind of like that puzzle and I don't know what you call that, like the puzzle letter thing, and that goes all around the rim. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with the rim yet, but I've just got it masked, and then I've still got like the inside mask because I'm just gonna leave that blank and let it glow. But then the rest of this inside of the circle, that's where we're gonna put the bed dye. And then my other one, this is on the curl, and this is one I did this originally for the podcast that I was interviewed on, Dying to Listen, which is the Disc Golf Dyers Guild. If you're a disc dyer, you probably already know about him. That's Dave with the Dyers Guild, and he got a much more bigger following than I do. He does a whole lot in the disc golf world, and just if you don't know who he is, Disc Golf Dyers Guild, go check out his channel. He's got like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. He's got some really cool videos on there too. Besides the podcast, he'll just do different fun things. Like he did his video where he had like a challenge where these guys were on a trailer, like being pulled by a truck through like bumpy terrain, and they were trying to dye a disc. It's hilarious. Anyway, I did this stencil originally for that podcast, and it's called a phenakistoscope, and what that is basically just a fancy term for like it's animated. So when it spins in a circle, it's animated, and this ninja that's on there as it spins like disappears in a cloud of smoke, right? And then on the inside, before I did this with a yin yang on the inside, but I didn't really want a yin yang. It's kind of I don't know. I was born again as a Christian, and I don't really like the yin yang thing as much anymore. So I just put a shuriken throwing star on the inside, and I'm like, that's still ninja-ish. I like it. Anyway, those are the ones I'm gonna do the bed dyes for. I haven't really decided which one I'm gonna put on which. It kind of depends on how they turn out. I was thinking more along the lines of doing the glue bed on this one and the cell bed on the Jesus one, but we'll see. We'll see how they turn out. First one we're gonna do is the glue bed. I mean, is the floetrol bed. Got my little supply thing here, which I'll slide out here. Um, I'm trying to do something as far as conserving my resources. I have some like pre-mixed little squirt bottles of floetrol, um, and they've been mixed for a really long time. I'm going to see how well they perform. They don't have silicone in them, so that means I'm going to have to put silicone somewhere, so I'm just going to put it in like the plain floetrol. So I'm going to use one of my little mixing cups here, put some floetrol in it, put the silicone oil in there, mix it up. You don't have to mix up the silicone oil a whole lot. Like that's one thing like people sometimes overmix. You only need to like just give it like a couple little stirs and that's it. You don't want it. I don't know what the word for that is. You just don't want to get it too mixed up. Um, but yeah, I've got like some mixing bottles that still have some in them, and I'm going to go ahead and try to use them. And the main reason I'm doing that, one, I'm just kind of conserving, like I've already got this stuff mixed up, it's just sitting there unused. I am kind of concerned because it's been sitting a long time how well it's going to work, but it should be alright. It's Floetrol doesn't really change consistency from sitting a long time. Lotion does. If you let lotion sit too long, you might have problems with it. Anyway, we're going to get started with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do about 8 ounces. I think that should be good. We'll do about 8 ounces of just white Floetrol into this, and then we're going to add our colors. And I'm going to show you kind of the trick of making the cells pop up. I'm going to show you something real quick, and unfortunately, I don't have the original bottle. I use 2 different kinds of silicone oil when doing cells, depending on what kind of uh, technique you're using. Okay, so this is, this is literally what it's called. It's acrylic pour oil, right? That's the like when you go looking for it, that's what you're looking for. It's a little bit thicker than the other stuff that I use, which this is. This the name brand is 3-in-1, and it's you want the all temp silicone. Like this is 3-in-1 silicone. It's a little bit thinner, and this is the one that you're going to put in the Floetrol when you mix it, and then you're just going to pour. This is the one that you're going to add after you've already got Floetrol. This is what you're going to use if you're going to do chameleon cells. I'm not going to attempt that tonight. Maybe sometime I'll do a tutorial on chameleon cells. I've only done it one time. I'm not that skilled at it. But I will also do this. I'll use this with like same way that I do the Floetrol blossoms. I'll just dip this in the 3-in-1 with the toothpick, and then I'll drag it through, and that'll cause like a little distortion when I pull it through. It's kind of a cheap way, a cheater way for me to make cells if I want to do it that way. But it's not really hard to do it with the pour oil stuff. So, eh. And ideally, I would put this pour oil in these mixes. We're going to see how well it works with me putting it in the white in the base one. That's not normally how I do it. But generally speaking, it doesn't really matter where it's at as long as the silicone's in there, and you'll see why. I just got stabbed by my cat. She just tried to jump at me. Yeah, since last time we did this, we adopted 2 kittens. And they're kittens. They're get into everything. So yeah, they might jump up in my screen or on my lap or something at any time while I'm doing this. That's what Aspen just did. Aspen just jumped at my finger. Look at baby girls. There she is. Look, you're on camera. Say hi. Say meow. She's like, whatever. Yeah, she got me pretty good. She gets my fingers all the time. Gets my fingers and my thighs. They're always jumping on me. But they're kittens. They don't know any better right now. They're just figuring life out. All right. I got a bunch of stuff here that I don't necessarily need all of it. I really just need, like I said, I'm going to do 8 ounces. I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to use my little strainer thing here. I always use the strainer when I'm pouring Floetrol because like I said, floetrol has lots of like stringy stuff in it, and you want to filter that out. I got two of my pie pans here. This is what I usually use for almost all my bed dyes. 9-inch diameter pie pan. I buy them at Walmart, and I just use them until they get too like rusty and whatever, and then I throw them out. I think I got a stack. I got about 6 of them right now. Um, They work really good for this. You can use other things, use whatever works for you, but I like these because a disc fits in there with just a little room to spare. You don't waste as much. If you use something bigger, you've got to fill it up to a certain depth. So the more you can get it close to the size, the less raw material you got to use, right? Go ahead and put one of those off to the side. As the description said, I will always give you lots of details, and I'll just talk a lot. Alright, this is what I always use here. This is Flood brand floetrol. This is the stuff I like. If you didn't see my other one about floetrol, if you don't know what floetrol is, it's basically acrylic, or not acrylic, latex paint. It's not exactly paint, but it basically is. It's an additive for latex paint. But a lot of times, like if you go to like Home Depot, Lowe's, or something, and you're getting paint mixed, when they need white paint, a lot of times this is what they will use. I think. Not 100% sure. I don't mix paint. I use it for this though. Alright, and I'm just going to pour it in till I get to 8 ounces. Sometimes I have to kind of just stop and let it drain and see where it's at because it slowly goes through this thing, so. Get it to where you can see it in the camera there. And again, if you haven't watched any of my videos before, I typically just do these live streams. When I first started doing the work on these two, I recorded some of it, and I was gonna try to make like an edited chef's kiss video. But to be honest with you, I just really wasn't in the mood. Like I don't know, I was in a kind of had a hard day, and I just wanted to enjoy some disc dyeing and like turn on some music and just kind of enjoy the process a little bit. And sometimes I like to do that. And yeah, I can record it and I can come back later and everything. And I still get the footage. Maybe I will. I don't know. I prefer doing these live streams though, because I don't have to go through the process of doing all the editing and stuff, because it's very time consuming and I'm just not really, I don't know. It's just not something I'm wanting to do right now. I got plenty of stuff to fill up my time with, so. Alright, we got about 8 ounces there. By the way, another supply you will need in doing this is going to come on later in the bed. You're going to need, like, saran wrap. Just plain old plastic saran wrap, right? I'll show you how we do that later. You can actually use other things. I've seen other people do it. It's kind of hard. We call it like a swipe. Um, I've even done it with like a little credit card type thing or an envelope. You have to do something to just kind of skim across the surface. The saran wrap works good because if you want to, you can actually just kind of put that saran wrap over the top and then like leave it. Just like leave it there for an extended period of time, and it'll keep everything underneath it like from drying out, and you can save it for when you're ready. Don't mind me, I'm just kind of grabbing some paper towels here. As I've said before, floetrol to me is the messiest way to dye discs. But it does some cool stuff that you can't really do with other mediums, so that's another good part about it. Alright. I need a popsicle stick thing. Not a popsicle stick thing, an actual popsicle stick. I don't know why I said thing. But really just need the one, because again, my other ones are already mixed up. Alright, with this pour oil, silicone pour oil stuff, it's easy to say. You don't need much. Like, I think I usually do about 3 or 4 drops at the most. I think that's literally what it says on the Pro Chemical and Dye mix chart thing. It says plus 324 drops silicone oil. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I actually got about 5 or 6 there because they just kind of dripped faster than I thought. Alright, and when I mix this, I'm not going to mix much. I'm just kind of 2 or 3 turns with it, and that's about it. Don't need to mix it a whole lot. I don't know why that is. That's just what I've always been told. That's what I've always done, and it works. Okay, now we're going to get this guy out. Again, if you watched me before, I like to use a Lazy Susan as opposed to I have like a regular turntable. If I don't actually need like the thing motorized spinning, I'm not going to use the turntable because if I spill floetrol and stuff down inside of it, I don't want to damage anything. Whereas this Lazy Susan, I don't care. Not going to hurt anything. Okay, just going to pour it all in there. Go ahead and use my popsicle stick here to kind of get it all out. If you watch the one where I did the floetrol blossoms, I talked about how I like to make sure I use at least 12 ounces of floetrol when I do these beds. That's why I started with 8 because I'm going to add, I'd say at least 4 more ounces in the colors that I add. The reason for that is if it's not deep enough, you'll end up kind of like bottoming out your disc on the bottom of the pan. It needs to float on top of it and contact everything, right? And you see right here, I kind of just want to make sure it coats the whole bottom, right? And my other colors will kind of sit on top of it, right? Okay, I kind of went through all these colors and I got a decent amount of dandelion. So these are 12 ounce, or no, they're 8 ounce bottles, and this one's about a little over halfway. So there's already like a little over 4 ounces in this one. Probably won't use all of it, but that'll tell you that no matter what, we're gonna have at least 12 ounces. And I kind of want this to turn out yellows and reds and oranges. That's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want to mix too many colors. You, by all means, can go crazy with colors. I'm just going for a certain effect on this particular dye. So it's the colors I want, color scheme I want to use. And also, I'm limited on what I've got here as far as already mixed. And if you're wondering how to mix this stuff, if you go back to the live stream I did on the floetrol blossoms, I go over how to mix the floetrol mixes. Then I've got, how much is, about 3 ounces here of clear orange. So I've got dandelion, I've got clear orange. What I don't like there is neither one of those are like neon colors, and I do want some neon because I like neon. It's fun. Unfortunately, I really would like to have neon lemon zest, but there's nothing in that one, and I don't want to mix new stuff. But I do have neon cerise pink. If I was doing floetrol blossoms, I would not use this because it sinks into the dye mix and it doesn't make the rings really good. But for this, should be okay because again, what's going to happen with the cells is even if it sinks, what you're doing is you're causing the colors from below to kind of come back up to the top. It's hard to explain. I don't know exactly how it works. I just know that it doesn't. Don't get hung up too much about what the design looks like when you lay it down because whenever you make the cells pop, everything's going to change anyway. All right. And very similar to what we did before is I'm just going to kind of make some rings. I'll probably go like orange and then yellow and then pink in the center basically. All right, start with orange. I'm going to actually kind of use a paper towel to even pull like the plastic little cap off these things because yeah, there's like right away there's like dried stuff on the top. Make sure your little things are unclogged if you need to. Grab a little toothpick or something and kind of unclog the top of it. If it's been sitting for a while, that floetrol will like dry up and clog the top. Okay. can see, I'm just kind of making circles of colors around the outside. Yeah, see a little bit, just kind of a big chunk, like hardened latex stuff kind of got stuck in there, so it didn't want to come out real easily. That happens. Like I said, floetrol is basically latex paint, so there's like chunks of like latex in it. It sometimes hardens and doesn't want to cooperate. Like I said, it's an interesting medium. Yeah, this one's already got a little clog in it. Okay, should be good. I come inside that orange ring and it's getting clogged. There's like a big chunk of something in there. Might make it difficult. I didn't get it out, I just kind of pushed it back down. Oh, there it is. Look at that. The joys of working with floetrol. Big old stringy thing stuck in there. And that's another thing about like using mixes that you've let sit for a long time. Um, when you mix them up fresh, you can kind of get everything strained out of it right when you're doing it, you know. A little different when it's been sitting for a while. Instead, even when I first mixed them, I strained it, but they sit for a while and that stuff just hardens up over time. We're gonna see how this is neon cerise pink, and of all the colors, it's like the stepchild of dye colors. It does weird things in like every medium, pretty much. The only thing you're kind of safe where it's not going to do anything weird is when it's just mixed with straight acetone and you're just like spin dyeing or painting with it. Everything else, with lotion, with everything else, it just does weird things. It does not cooperate, but we'll see how it goes. It is a really cool color though. It's very neon, really pops. So it's a great color to use, and it's in neon royal purple, and it's in the neon hot orange. So it's like a base pigment for a lot of the neon colors, even if it's not says that it doesn't say that it's cerise pink, there might still be some in it, is all I'm trying to say. I add a little bit more orange. Because that was such a big ring around the outside, I think we kind of lost a little bit. And it kind of just sinks in. Again, I tell y'all not to worry about it too much, and here I am worried about it. Okay. And again, like I said, don't focus too much on what this thing looks like now. It's not. This isn't even what the design's gonna be. This is the fun part, basically. Um, and I don't know about you guys. I try to use like the little cutter edge on the saran wrap. It never works for me. So I literally just have my little scalpel here that I use for my various disc dyeing things, for cutting vinyl or whatever else, and that's what I use to cut the saran wrap with, because otherwise I will just frustrate myself and it will never happen. Don't need a whole lot, just need enough to cover the bed. Do want to make sure it doesn't, like, you know how saran wrap clings to itself. You don't want that. You want it to stay flat. And that did not cut well. Probably because I'm trying to do it weird. I should have pulled it out a little further and put it flat on the table and cut it, but I did not. Okay. Like I said, try to get it as flat as possible. Don't let it get all clingy together. Yeah, you're just gonna drape it over and gently let it kind of just adhere to the surface of that dye bed. Get it all the way to the edges. Make sure it makes contact everywhere. Alright, and here's the fun part. You can do a couple different things here. Like when you remove this plastic, that's what's going to make the thing like make cells at that point. Okay? Um, and then you have two options. You can exercise patience and just wait for it to develop cells, or you can, if you got like a little torch thing, which is probably what I will do, you can just kind of hit it with some heat and that'll cause the cells to kind of speed up in their formation. Also, when you remove this, it kind of depends on how you want to remove it. A lot of times I will like grab the center and just like spin the thing, and as it's spinning, it's kind of creating like a spiral, right? Similar to what we did with the shaving cream thing. Or you can just pick it straight up and it'll stay more in the thing you have. Or you can pick it up from each corner and that'll kind of drag the corners in. At this part, you can kind of play with different things that you can do. I think I'm just going to do do I want to do the spiral? Let me see what it looks like. Let's try the spiral. Sometimes this can be hard. You got to kind of like grip the center of it, and it's kind of hard to grab sometimes. So a lot of times, if I don't need to this time, it doesn't look like, but sometimes I'll grab a piece of vinyl and like stick it to it so I can grab the thing. Have your trash can handy, okay? I'm gonna stand up while I do this too, because as soon as I like pull this thing, I'm just gonna go straight to the trash can, because it's gonna drip floetrol everywhere, right? But what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna kind of spiral it, spin the thing while I'm pulling this thing off, and that's just gonna kind of. Sometimes you have to do multiple pulls. We'll see what we have to do here. You can already kind of see cells starting to form. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with some fire and make it speed up a little bit. This will also help you get the air bubbles out, of course. You see how much orange is on the outside. I might do a second pull just because it's very orange heavy, and I kind of want some of the other colors to come through more. Of course, as you can see, I can also just kind of move it around and it will move around. Oop. My flame thing keeps going out on me. And again, a big part of what you're seeing here is my lack of a level table. That's why it's sliding the way it is. I can always kind of shim my little lazy Susan, and that might help things a little bit. This thing keeps going out because either I'm running out of fluid or it's because I've got it turned sideways. Okay. At this point, it's very orange. I'm not getting a lot of other color. So I think I'm going to go ahead and hit it with another pull and see what much more color we can get out. Another thing you can do now, if you don't get enough color, again, you can just add more to it. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some more pink to the outside. I said this is way different than my other method as far as it's kind of you're going for kind of a chaos effect anyway, so you can be a little chaotic with your method to start with too, so which is very different than chameleon cells. At some point we can do that, but that is way more controlled. There's still kind of an element of chaos to it, but you're dictating like how you want the cells to form and where and everything. personally, one of the reasons why I probably don't do a whole lot of cell beds, or when I was dyeing discs regularly, is I really don't like dealing with saran wrap. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it is just really difficult. I know like the guys that just like cell beds are like their bread and butter, and they're doing this stuff all the time. A lot of times they'll get the little dispensers that have like the little sliding cutter thing on built into it. Makes things a lot easier for sure if you're using it all the time. My cat is desperately trying to climb onto my lap. So sorry if I'm a little distracted there. Trying to keep her chill. It's difficult. They're just kittens. They're just trying to have fun. And I worked from home today, so they've been home with me all day, so they're kind of spoiled on like being allowed to climb all over me, sit in my lap and all that good stuff. Okay. Do the same thing again. You know, like a lot more color into it that time. It's not so orange heavy. Hitting it with fire will make more like small cells pop up. If you let it kind of do its, if you were patient and just kind of let it do its own thing, you'll get bigger cells. Just an FYI. Okay. That looks a lot better this time. And I know that you can't 100% see it. Let me show you. Let me hide my face for a second, and you'll be able to see it better. Still got a lot of orange back here. It's not as much as what it looks like in the picture, but there is a lot. But I can kind of, like I said, this thing is like partially masked around the outside anyway, so I think we'll be all right. I'm probably gonna try to kind of turn it a little bit and see if I can't get it to kind of slide over a little bit. Yeah, like that, and get like my main kind of cell grouping centered more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another thing I might do real quick is kind of try to shim this a little bit. I'm going to use my scalpel, slide that under it, shim it up a little bit. And like I said, another trick here is like the longer you let it sit, cells will continue to form. And if you're not happy with the design, again, you can just keep grabbing your saran wrap and hitting it again and again until you like the way it looks. Make sense? I hope that makes sense. Alright. And it's not the prettiest cell bed in the world. I'm not like the best cell bed creator. There's a lot of people that are really good at this. Better, good, you know what I mean. Really good at this, and I'd only do it a little bit here and there. A lot of times when I was like doing professional disc dyes, I did a lot of those floetrol blossoms. And what I would do is after I'd used the blossom and I pulled the disc off of it at that point, it's all muddled and it's not pretty anymore. But as long as it was still kind of, it's got colors and anything, I would just kind of save that, and I'd add some color mixed with the silicone and make a cell bed out of it. Sometimes I wouldn't even use color. I just do what we just did now and just add some white to the top of it, hit it with a saran wrap pool, and just create some random cells. And I guess that's kind of the advantage to making cell bed things, is that it's just kind of random anyway. So you can kind of just do whatever you want with it, you know. And again, you can do more advanced stuff. You can do chameleon cells and stuff like that, and it's way different. Okay, so I'm just looking at like the parts that's going to be exposed. I got a lot more area right here, so I'm going to try to put that end where I got the most of the big chunky cells. And again, I'm going to kind of use my, since I've got vinyl on it, I'm going to kind of use the vinyl pieces as handles as I put this in there. As always, you want to be real careful to just go real slow and easy and try not to capture air bubbles. And the parts that I can kind of see through, I can kind of see how it's affecting it and everything. Okay, I'm going to put this in my dehydrator. I'm not going to start it yet because I'm going to do the glue bed in there as well. So when I get ready to do them, I'll just kind of run them on heat together at the same amount of time. You don't have to add heat to these beds if you don't want to, or to use a dehydrator or whatever. Some people use heat lamps. It's a very similar, you get the same thing, whatever. Heat lamps might actually be better. Dehydrator, because it's kind of circulating air, you're actually heating the bed, which will cause, the cell bed is great because you're just going to cause more cells to form maybe. That may not be good because you don't want cells forming while it's on there, because then you might get like air bubbles and stuff like that. With the floetrol blossoms, it's not as good. You kind of don't want that to happen, but again, the dehydrate, it's not like a major effect. It doesn't really mess you up, but it does have that effect. So honestly, if you got like a grow lamp, peat lamp type thing, it's better because you want to really just heat the disc and not the bed, if that makes sense. But as I said before, it's not rocket surgery. So do whatever you like. All right, we are done with the messy floetrol for now. The other one we're going to do is glue beds. And clear glue beds are, as far as like, other than like maybe shaving cream, and shaving cream probably takes a little bit longer to prep than a glue bed, but glue beds are just like, in my opinion, they're one of the quicker, easier, simple ways to dye discs. It's also, you use a lot of glue, but you conserve a lot more dye, because what we're going to use is the similar to like what you do with spin dyeing. You're using an acetone mix, right? So the dye just goes further. You don't have to mix as much of the powder in the medium. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up a little bit. I'm gonna put the floetrol back up. Put my little floetrol things over here for now. I'll put them up for good in a minute. My cling seal stuff up. Okay. My other pie pan. Um, you can do white glue beds as well. It's an entirely different process. Like, they're two different things. They're both glue. As far as like when you want to glue something to something, there's not a lot of difference between the two because we're not talking like this isn't super glue or anything like that. It's not that super adhesive or whatever. But as far as making dye beds, they're very different. They have very different fluidity, viscosity, whatever, and they react to the dyes very differently. You can do some cool things with white glue. I've experimented with it, and generally speaking, I just don't find it to be all that useful. I don't like it, so I'm like I don't even mess with it. I've done some pretty cool stuff with using clear glue and putting lotion on top of it. Does something completely different than what we're doing here, so something else you can play with. I think I've said before, there's not rules to this, man. You're just combining something that has moisture in it because the dye is water soluble. And again, most of the time I've already mixed the dye with water before I add it to any medium anyway, and I've already activated it. The only time I don't mix it with water is with shaving cream beds. And you can still do that with shaving cream too. You can add uh, what we're doing now with the acetone stuff. But anyway, I am using, this is like an off-brand. It's Craft Smart clear glue. I've also got like Elmer's clear glue in there. I actually like this stuff better. It's just the way that it responds to the dye. I've experimented with different stuff, and this is currently of the stuff I have, this is the one I like better. You can use whatever. You can try different ones and see which one you like. A lot of times it just comes down to which one's cheaper. So anyway, um, there are different schools of thought on how to pour this glue, because again, air bubbles are our enemy. We don't want air bubbles. So when you're pouring it, that's the time when you can generate a lot of air bubbles. Some people say that you need to go slow when you do this. I completely disagree. The faster I go, the less air bubbles I get. But I don't like go crazy fast, but just controlled. Like don't change speed in the middle of it. Does that make sense? Just be deliberate. Like if you're going to go that fast the whole time. Okay? Maybe I'm thinking too much, but just pour the glue. And when you start pouring it, when you kind of pull it up, what I'll do is I'll kind of grab my finger and grab the drip because I don't want the little tiny little drips. That's what's going to cause the air bubbles. Don't want air bubbles. Air bubbles are bad. I'm not going to tell you a certain amount. You just need to fill the pan to the edges and, add some depth to this thing because, again, we don't want the disc bottoming out. Okay. I got a little bit of drip at the end there. Not too bad. I see one little air bubble right there. Hopefully by the time we're done with this, it'll be gone. I'll show you a trick though. Again, like everything else, you can get rid of air bubbles with fire. Works a little different with glue than it does with everything else. It kind of almost like cooks the glue, so you gotta doesn't really quite work the same. And also, I shouldn't say fire, I should say heat. But it doesn't work quite the same. But I'll show you a cool, nifty trick. Toothpicks are awesome. Gotta love toothpicks when you're just dying. And actually, I had one sitting around. Oh, I used it. That's right. I was unclogging floetrol bottles with it. You can find that little air bubble and just kind of. Oh, I kind of went crazy there, but you can kind of twist and get it out. Um, you can also just push them down. I think that's kind of what I did more than anything. I just pushed it down into the surface, and that works too. The main thing is you just don't want them sitting up on the surface, and it kind of is. Hey, I got it. Cool. But yeah, you can just kind of pull the glue that's got the air bubble out, basically. Okay. And similar to what we did with the floetrol blossoms, you can do all kinds of things with glue beds. One of the things that I do, I'm not going to do it tonight. Um, you can make designs with your toothpick. You can use a bigger than a toothpick if you want like bigger lines through it. You can use like a popsicle stick or something. Also, I'm not going to dig it out because I'm not exactly sure where it's at, but I have like like a little hose from like an aquarium or whatever. I like doing that better than a straw because again we're going to be using acetone mixes and I don't want my face real close to it. And with the aquarium tube thing, I can kind of sit back here and hold the end and just blow, and I'll just sit there and blow the dye around and make little designs with it. But what I'm going to try to do tonight, I don't know what you call this design style. Might call it like a geode or something. I'm just going to make like little rings that just stay all together. Don't have it in here, do I? Yeah, do me a favor. You want to go out to the shed and grab the glow penny putter? Yeah, the only one that's dyed. Yeah, because I've got a dyed one that's dyed with the same style, and I'm just gonna see if I can show you what the example looks like. It's not exactly what I'm gonna be going for tonight. It's very similar, but it's kind of that one's a little different, but very very similar. I've done some other ones as well over the years, so. Round of applause for my dye assistant. She's going to go fetch that disc. I'm gonna use black. And by the way, this is where I'm going to use like I'm gonna use like droppers, right? Little medicine dropper things, right? I kind of reuse the same ones over and over. You'll see that they're kind of stained with certain colors. And like that's ones I use for yellow, right? This one I'll use for like red and orange. This one I'll use for purples. This one for blues. Uh, if I get a green, I'd probably also use the blue one or the yellow one, depending on which end of the spectrum it is. Same thing with the orange. If it's a more yellow orange, I'll use the yellow. And then I got this one, like some of these other glass ones that they're kind of already stained as well, and I'll just try to use the same ones over and over. Um, you can use new ones every time. Again, there's no rules, but I like to reuse things. You can wash them, and I will. I'll just use like I'll get like a little glass of just acetone and kind of squirt and clean them out the best I can, right? All right, I'm going to use black. Okay, yeah, so this is one that I did before. And basically with this one, what we're going to do is we're going to make the design and then we're just going to leave it. Like instead, we're not going to do any manipulation after we make it. We're just going to make little circles everywhere or whatever, and then we're going to leave it. But you see how I've got like a little honeycomb almost or whatever, and some people call this a geode. I don't really know where that comes from, but I know people call it that. The only difference in this one is if you get on close, you can kind of see they kind of spread in the middle. And they may still do that. If they do, that's fine. But that's the effect I'm kind of going for. You will notice that in between though, there's like nothing. It's just blank space. I'm gonna try to get that to be like black. So we're almost gonna try to like cover the whole thing with black to start with. Not the whole thing, but we'll start with black dots, and then we'll just keep going in the center of each of those little circles that we're making, and just keep kind of pushing rings out to where you'll end up with something like that. I do want to kind of decide what colors I'm going to use to start with though. I think I'm going to use some neon lemon zest because that's a great color. Give me some aqua. That'd be fun. I try not to use worm dips when I do glue beds because they work just fine, but they react a little different, and it may just be the brand of glue that I'm using. I don't know, but they kind of get like a film on the top, and they don't spread as easily. I don't know how to explain it really. Um, that may be it. That may be the only colors I use. Kind of keep it simple. I'll go ahead and grab Royal also. Okay. Start with black. Haven't done this in a long time, and I'm hoping I'm able to do what I'm planning to do here. We'll see how it goes. It's a big part of disc dyeing is just experimentation. See, that one kind of dropped before I was even ready. As you can see, you can kind of get them to spread from that center. And that's all we're kind of trying to do here. One of the great things you can do with this, be similar to like the floetrol blossoms that I do, is you can just kind of build up right in the very center and just keep building rings outwards if you wanted to do something like that. And again, you could do a blossom style-ish with glue beds as well. That's, again, it's just a little bit different effect, just because of the way things react with clear glue as opposed to floetrol or lotion or whatever other medium you're using. Alright, so now I got black circles. What we're going to do from here is just go in the center of each of those. I'm going to go ahead and go with the blue next. This is royal blue. As you can see, I'll start to kind of eliminate the space between them, and that's okay, because that's kind of what I'm going for. I kind of want all the black to eventually kind of touch each other. It may not, it may still leave that little space in between, and that's okay. Don't want to do this too fast when you're doing it, because you will, like, I even did it a little bit on that one. It kind of broke the little outside border thing, I guess, like the little black border around it. Okay, let's switch to a different blue now. It's kind of a bluish green. It's called aqua. I really like this color. It's cool looking. Blue is my favorite color, in case anybody wants to know that. So I like blues, various shades of them. Oh, I know what we call these now. I think some people call them geodes, but I like calling them turtle shells because they look like turtle shells. Sometimes this is hard to see. Um, Clear glue, because it's see-through, sometimes it's kind of hard to see what you got going on. Kind of a learned skill just to learn how to look at it, you know? You have to kind of check out different angles and stuff. And sometimes you'll be like, I don't see the color there. Sometimes it's hard to see, and it's like you can't even tell. You're like, I don't know if this is gonna look good, and then like you see it come out on the disc, and you're like, wow, those colors were a lot brighter than what they looked like when I was looking at them, you know? All right, go neon lemon zest in the very center of these, and I'm gonna try to do something first. Some of these kind of have, you can almost see like a little graininess. That's a weird one. Oh, I can use that one. In the very center, what I'm going to do is just kind of try to pull a little bit of that out. Um, I don't exactly know what causes that, but it can certainly kind of mess up this method. Going after the ones that look kind of bad. They don't all look bad, so. Like once you keep pouring that acetone in one place over and over, it kind of gets this weird film, and like it's almost like the little par powder particles are sitting in a clump in the middle or something. And you're just trying to get that out of there. Okay, that's about as good as I'm going to get it. Alright, now we're going to use some neon lemon zest. Another thing that you can do with this method, um, sometimes it'll get to the point where they don't really want to spread out anymore. You got too much dye and it can't really push itself out. And you can just take like a little, almost like what we're doing with the floetrol. Um, put some clear glue in like a little dispenser bottle and just squirt it right in the middle of that, and the glue will just kind of push that stuff out, and then you can kind of go back to hitting the middle of it. Cat keeps trying. She's like, I want to be a part of this video. Can you? Sorry. I'm afraid that she's gonna end up with some dye on her head or something, and we don't want that. see, basically, a lot of these are doing exactly what I was saying that that other one did. It kind of, with this last color, it's not staying circular. It's kind of doing weird little, doing its own thing. And that's okay. I kind of like that. I don't know how much of this you can even see in your screen there, and I apologize for that because I don't really know how to show it better. Let's see if I can hide my face for a second and see if I can get you to zoom in on this. It looks really dark in that camera, but it's not that dark when I'm looking at it. And I am using like blues, so that part will be dark, and then the part that you're really seeing is like the yellow in the center. But it's got a very turtle shell-ish design to it. I'll not zoom any more than that, but there you go. That's what it looks like. And when you pour these things, like one of the things you don't want to do is like immediately put a disc in it. You don't have to wait a real long time, but you do want to let the acetone evaporate, which acetone evaporates pretty quick, so you don't have to wait a super long time, but you do want to give it a second to dissipate. And as you can see, maybe you're understanding that, maybe you're not, I don't know, but you don't have to use a whole lot of dye doing this. Glue beds, great way to conserve your dye usage. Again, I said before, if you're mixing dye with acetone, it stretches a long way. A little bit goes a long way with this stuff, and like I said, if you're doing spin dyes, you're doing glue beds, that kind of thing. If you're trying to like do this to sell dyes, and you were looking for the way to conserve and make your dyes last, dye powder last the longest, acetone mix or alcohol, whatever. But liquid mixes are definitely, it goes a lot further. Floetrol and like lotion, or if you're doing like detergent or something like that, it consumes it very quickly. So doesn't go as far that way. But again, you can achieve certain effects that you can't really do any other way. So weigh your options. I don't know. Okay, so we have a cool little turtle shell thing that we're gonna put our ninja in. I'm gonna real quickly hit this with flame just gently. I don't even want like a whole lot of direct. I'm just trying to heat it up, and if there is any kind of acetone, it should kind of go away real quick. I'm not even touching like the surface of the bed either. I'm just trying to hit it with general heat because I don't want to burn that glue. Huh? Oh. The cats are iffy about this whole situation. They're like, what is going on? What the heck is this crazy man doing? Okay, and that's it, man. We dyed this. I'm gonna put this bad boy in there, and just like before, nice and slow and easy, putting it in the dye bed. Try not to create air bubbles. I'm gonna kind of slowly rock it in there. I see air bubbles already. It may just be where I don't know. I think I got a significant amount of air bubbles putting that in. Well, that might be frustrating, but not a whole lot I can do now that it's on there. The good thing is, what I will probably do is if I do end up with some air bubble places, I will just go in and touch it up, hand paint it, and kind of hide the bubbles. I've done that lots of times. Not on customers' discs, but that's it. We dyed 2 discs. I'm gonna put them in the dehydrator and hit them for about like 30 minutes heat, 30 minutes no heat, 30 minutes of heat, and then I'll pull them off and wash them, and they should be done. And that's it. We dyed this. That was a lot shorter than another one. That still went like a little over an hour, but I thank you for tuning in. God bless you, and hope if you try these that you have great success with it. And I just showed you one example of how to do a glue bed. You can do a lot of stuff with it. You can kind of, I like sometimes I'll put colors in there and I'll kind of swirl the bed. Like I said, I'll push it around with my little air hose thing. I'll do the toothpick drag thing. It's art. Play with it. Have fun. The main concept is just to kind of let the acetone evaporate before you put it on there, because the dye is just it creates a film of dye on top of that glue. That's it. And again, you don't have to use heat. I like to do it. It makes it quick. If you don't, if you're if you're not using heat, you cannot let these things sit an hour and a half and think they're going to be done. They will not be done. Okay, you need to give them like 12 hours or so, something like that. Some people still think that I go too quick with this stuff, but I've done it a lot. Dehydrators really speed up the process. But anyway, that's that, man. Hope y'all enjoyed. Uh, Try this on your own and hope you enjoy it. God bless you.